If there was a single day I could live, a single breath I could take, I'd trade all the others away. The blood's on the wall, so you might as well just admit it. And bleach out the stains, commit to forgetting it. Heiser?
That your new favorite song?
Hayden? You two guys okay? You both look like incarceration is taking a big bite out of you.
Thank you.
So how was the 3-day heavy metal festival at the former Ohio State Reformatory over the weekend?
Where do we start?
Maybe at the beginning.
Well, the beginning for me was Thursday night with the pre-show, and I was up till 3 a.m. writing that story after going out with Adam Fox before he went on vacation, and he kind of wingmanned journalist me. He was like getting a bunch of quotes and leading me around, and so that kind of set the tone right, and that was really cool seeing local bands play in front of a Ink crowd at Warehouse Tavern on East 4th Street. And then, let's see, Friday, I went out a little bit in the afternoon. Hayden and I took our intern Malachi out there, who it looked a little bit shell-shocked, but
I can't imagine why.
But he ended up crowd surfing to Slipknot on Saturday night.
Of course he did. By the way, I should have said at the beginning, the words I began this week's show with were taken from a group called Lamb of God, and that was a big hit for them called Laid to Rest.
Correct.
I forgot to mention that. I don't want people to think I'm like having a stroke. Those are actual lyrics from a heavy metal song.
Correct.
Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt, but please continue.
So Saturday was like the big day for us, I would say. And you can read my story. It's I'm not gonna.
It's a great story.
I did.
Thank you. What did you think?
I edited the story.
Yes.
Made minimal changes. Tweaked the headline a little bit.
I saw that.
Dropped in the word Saturday fairly high because it was kind of missing. But other than that, it's clean.
Thank you. Yeah, and I did want to go to the campgrounds after, but it is probably best that that didn't work out that way.
Yeah, we'll talk about the campgrounds here in a minute.
All right. Hayden, what did you think?
Yeah, like you said, Seth. I mean, we were out there Friday for a little bit. It was fun to take photos. I didn't do that last year, so to be able to photograph a few bands was a truly unique experience. And then Saturday, went out a little bit earlier to work on a story, and then went back and met up with Zach later. And we were just like, we got to take in the headliners and just see what it's about with the increased capacity this year. And even with the rain showers, I think you could definitely feel that there was I don't know. There may have even been over 30,000. I don't know.
It seemed like it. Hayden looked at me. He's like, I can tell this is the most crowded this place has ever been. So it was about 7 o'clock on Saturday night, and Manson and Slipknot were going on later, but there's this Russian deathcore band called Slaughter to Prevail, and the dude's built like a UFC fighter, and he comes out and he just like was like, okay, this is not a gloss over opener, no one's paying attention. I was down in the pit for that because it was my last chance to shoot, because I did not have the permission to take photos of Manson or Slipknot. So I was like, well, it started to rain. I was like, I got to get a bunch of rain photos. I'm going to go down there, and it was wild.
So when you were down there taking pictures of rain photos, I'm sure in the back of your mind was, damn, Carl's editing on Sunday and it's raining, and I know he's going to ask me for rain pictures. I got to get some.
I did not. Well, yes, of course. I thought of you. Yeah.
Well, I did get up yesterday morning, as I'm apt to do. I was working on Sunday, and first thing I noticed were photos and videos that people posted on social media Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Some flooding in the campgrounds over the Richland County Fairgrounds. Didn't look like a great time for some of those folks, but maybe I'm just old. But I mean,
that's true.
I've been in big music crowds. I will tell you many times at a show they used to do near Wheeling, West Virginia at Brush Run State Park called Jamboree in the Hills. Probably the biggest crowd I saw there was 100,000 people on a Saturday night when the final acts were Vince Gill, Travis Tritt, and Charlie Daniels. So I've been inside big music crowds. I don't remember a mosh pit for Vince Gill, though. I don't think that was something that happened. So Tell me what you know about the social media commentary over the weekend. What did you see about the flooding in the campgrounds? Give us a full report.
Flooding in the campgrounds. I mean, I'm in a couple of the Facebook groups we joined in the past. They're great for story leads and just connecting with people. I mean, there was definitely some frustrated people. On Friday, it was really the first day of the fest. The shuttle service was pretty poor. From what I heard and what I saw. And I actually asked a couple people about that on Saturday at the festival, and they said it did get a lot better. Seems like a lot of credit has to go to the Ink staff. I mean, I wrote about this, but like Mother Nature does not care about your feelings. But,
exactly.
But Inkcarceration, I mean, I saw them Saturday night, like late, when I got home and after 1 a.m., they're commenting, where's your campsite? Like, where, can we come help you? All right, we're calling people down that way. Like, they're doing the best they could, it seemed like. So kudos to them. There's some frustrated campers, but then there's a lot of people saying, helping each other out. And that's kind of what I want to say too. I think like a lot of people, we're like, yeah, that's not for me. You won't find me in that crowd. And that's a perfectly acceptable take.
I mean, it's not my music.
It's not your music
that
you
I
don't mind
enjoy.
the crowd, but
I don't mind the crowd.
yeah.
But it's not my. If George Jones, rest in peace, was there, I'd have been in the crowd. But
yeah.
It's just not my music. But I love the fact that there's an event in Mansfield that draws people literally from around the country and maybe even outside the country.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess I would say, like, for people saying it's demonic, shut up. For people saying that it's unsafe, no. These are some of the most caring, nicest, like, unselfish people you'll meet. You kind of have to be if you want to go and get that dirty and get people's sweat and blood and tears on you. You're going to have a little bit of a higher threshold for being dirty and being muddy and being tired and whatever. But I mean, from what I saw, that no fights, no, I mean, people are bumping into each other and pushing each other down, and there's, I didn't see any punches thrown or anything. Now, Brendan Robinson maybe almost did. I saw that video he posted of a guy that's like, don't grab my shirt. But man, just like a lot of super respectful. They look scary, sure, but you can't judge a book by its cover. And if you weren't out there and you don't go out there, don't tell people what everybody else is like and what it must be like.
Exactly.
It may not look like it's for you, and that's fine. But don't talk shit unless you've been out there.
I really would have liked to have seen video of Hayden in the mosh pit.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, just like you said, it's
maybe next year.
It is not my music at all. This is not my genre. It's really not my scene at all. But I'm one of those that, for the people watching, for the experiences that we get, as far as getting to write stories, getting to shoot photography, those are all things that when you have something like this in your city's backyard, you go. And talking about people too is interesting. I'm leaving early Saturday, and one of my childhood best friends is a firefighter and an EMT for the Mansfield Fire Department, and I bumped into him, so I talked to him, and I think in the 10 minutes that I'm over there talking to him, probably about 20 different people stopped and just said thank you for being out there.
Did you bump into him like in the mosh pit bump? Or
no.
Okay. So
no, he was in the regular walkway.
Oh, you didn't like thump him or anything?
No,
Okay.
no. But I'm sure they've got some stories to share, and that's a podcast for another time. But
Hayden and I, we did it right. I think we obviously had the media wristbands, and the media tent is luxurious.
It is.
We could have stayed in there.
Yeah.
Now, if you went 1 year, you would stay in there all day.
Oh, yeah.
And that would be totally fine. A lot of people do just interview bands back there.
Yeah, do they have alcohol in the media
They
tent?
sure do.
Yeah,
and
I'd
they've got
never
free coffee
with
and
four
a
letters,
juice bar.
FREE.
Yeah. In fact, they would probably name the VIP bar after me.
They probably would.
Carl Hunnell's media tent.
You should come out next year.
Yeah.
And then so we got access to VIP too, which was nice. We it's still muddy up there and everything, but shorter lines. And there was an air conditioned tent this year. I don't remember that from previous years. Maybe I could
do remember
be wrong.
last year.
Okay, there was.
Yeah.
But we ended up going in there for Marilyn Manson because it was pouring down rain. But then we were like, well, we're we're gonna go be with the people, and we stood out in the rain for Slipknot. I was we were both in the photo pit a couple times. I did go into the crowd and into the moshing area just to check it out for the story.
Did you mosh?
I helped crowd surf. I was a core part of infrastructure for Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, excellent.
By the end of it all, Zach's shirt, it was just so soaking wet on Saturday night. So that was kind of a sacrifice. And then to make a long story short, I'd made a poor choice to wear my checkered Vans on Saturday night. Zach's over there double socked with his Columbia hiking boots, and I wore my storied 9-year-old checkered Vans. And Zach,
mistake.
I hadn't even told you yet. I did decide that was their last hurrah.
Oh, no.
Saturday night.
Did you bother looking
Did your wife
at the
make
weather?
you do that?
Did you bother looking at the weather forecast?
Yes, I knew, and I was willing to take that risk. But they lived a long life. They've been with me since sophomore year in college, and that was their last hurrah.
So where are they now?
They are in the garbage.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
All right. Well, anyway, greetings and salutations. Welcome once again to the Newsman Weekly Podcast, in case you were wondering what exactly you've been hearing. Episode number 57. Thanks again to everybody for joining us on a special 2-interview show today. In a few minutes, we're going to be headed down the Yellow Brick Road. We're going to be joined by some members of the Wizard of Oz cast who will take to the stage at the Renaissance Theater in downtown Mansfield on Saturday, July 26th, to launch a 4-show run. After that, we're going to welcome a man and a voice very familiar to everybody in North Central Ohio, retired local radio personality and barbershop quartet singer Rusty Cates will be here in the studio with us to give us an update on what's happening in his life since he left WMAN 6 years ago. And let me just say, he's a busy guy. So stay tuned for those discussions. But before we get too deep into this, if we're actually not already, we know you have many choices of places to go for news, information, and entertainment. We're grateful so many of you come to us every week, more than 1 year into this weekly audio-visual extravaganza. We know we couldn't do this show without your support, so please, if you haven't done it already, subscribe to the show and give it a great rating. What should they do then, Hayden?
They should unsubscribe, unlike, do whatever, and then just duplicate it all again. Which we don't know if it works.
Yeah, we don't know if that works, but please try it anyway. Hey, many thanks to, speaking of music, local country singer Luke Watson for writing and singing Smoke and Drink, this ever-maddening show's theme song. My thanks also to the great folks at Relax It's Just Coffee. They sponsor this show, and they're such a great partner to the Newsman Weekly. Every day just starts better with great coffee, and our friend Paul Kimmerling and his baristas at Relax simply have the best in town at 105 North Main Street in downtown Mansfield. And as you already know, if you've been listening for the last few minutes, I'm again joined today by Zach Heiser, this show's executive producer, and Hayden Gray, our official videographer, for at least one more week. He might be headed for a week of suspension based upon his efforts today. We'll see. Good morning again, gentlemen. Welcome to another journey into broadcasting malfeasance.
Good morning, everyone. And Relax, have you seen their little summer menu they've got?
No, tell us about it.
I don't remember what's on it, but go check it out.
Okay. Thanks for
you
that.
Wouldn't like any of it because it's not just like black coffee.
That's something I've certainly come to welcome on this show, is Heiser coming on and doing active defense on our ability to retain a sponsor. So thanks for pointing out they have a summer menu and then not having a clue as to what's on it.
That you're welcome anytime.
They can rip them up in the face with
I'm just trying to get people just to go out there and check it out for yourself.
He's playing defense.
Now he's playing defense against that. Hey, before we dive into the Wizard of Oz and Rusty Cates, we do have some news for you. Covered City Council last week, and a couple of things I found interesting. There was something called a then and now certificate. Then and now certificates are voted on by City Council when the city has already done work without the prior approval of a purchase order. That's a source of frustration with several City Council members. I know David Falquette, a councilman at large, is someone who often does not like to hear about those. Last week he was joined by Deborah Mount, who represents the 6th Ward. And that frustration kind of boiled over because both of them voted against approval of the then and now certificate to pay for work that was done on the parking lot at the DIY skate park up at Liberty Park. And I don't know whether people knew at the time, but when they both voted no, that basically delayed the city's ability to pay the contractor for this work by at least 30 days, because it takes 6 votes by city council since they have 8 members. They were missing 1 last week. Since they did not get 6, it did not pass as an emergency, which means it doesn't take effect until 30 days after Mayor Jody Perry signs the legislation. So that means the contractor in this case is going to have to wait a little bit longer in order to get the $3,800 that they paid. Neither Falquette nor Mount questioned the need for the project, especially since the city's Park and Recreation Department has authorized $10,000 a year for the next 3 years to be used at the facility. But the work, Mark Abrams, the Parks and Recreation Superintendent, said there was a communication issue. He took the blame for it, but David Falquette and Deb Mount said that's enough. We don't approve this. It was approved, but nobody's going to get paid for at least 30 days after Jody Perry signs it. But that happens, probably happens far too often.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah, that kind of doesn't seem fair that they won't get paid for the work they did.
Well, I don't know if the lawmakers knew by voting no that was about to happen.
Right.
I talked to some folks afterward who didn't really understand that that's what had just happened.
Come on.
You know, I mean, it's a technicality, and you have to be an idiot like me who lays in the weeds.
Yeah, you knew right when you're like.
Yeah, the moment they did, I'm
right.
like, oh, here we go. I mean, this happened a few years ago with a similar legislation back during COVID when council was meeting online, and they had a vote, and I won't get into what the legislation was, but it was a 5-3 vote, and it was something that had a deadline. So the meeting was ending, and at that time, Council President Cliff Mears said, does anybody have any questions? And I hit the raise hand button, if you remember those bad old days of pandemic meetings. And he goes, yes, Carl. And I said, I just want to make sure you guys understand, and so you're not going to meet the federal deadline because this did not pass as an emergency, which means it's not going to take effect for 30 days after the mayor signs it. And they all kind of looked around at each other on the Zoom call, and they decided to reopen that vote and revote, and one of the 3 members voted yes, so then it was passed 6-2 as an emergency, and they met the federal deadline. So, yeah, I don't know a lot of things, but
always trying to steer them a little bit,
and
while covering objectively as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure people knew. Hey, the coolest thing at City Council last week was meeting Charlie, who will be a new 4-legged student this fall at Mansfield City Schools, specifically senior high and the middle school.
That's a dog, by the way, not a deformed child.
Well, I'm going to get into that, but please, thanks for, again, actively defending my ability to do this show. Back to incarceration with you. Charlie is a 9-month-old mini golden doodle who came in. He is owned by Mansfield Police Officer Matt Brewster, who's a school resource officer at senior high and the middle school over at 124th North Linden Road. And the reason he was there, City Council accepted a grant of a little over $5,000 from the Richland County Foundation to help train and feed and do vet bills for Charlie. And he will be like an emotional support type dog in the schools.
Well, that's nice. So cutting some staff, bringing in a dog. That's
Charlie's not costing the city schools any money.
It's just a bad joke.
Okay, yeah. Once again, a second week in a row, Heiser's come in with bad jokes.
Alone.
Jesus.
Man, I just covered a music festival for 3 days. I'm sorry.
It certainly shows. Hey, speaking of festivals and things, we have 2 coming up this weekend that I want to make sure you know about. Oasis of Love Church is going to hold its annual community block party on Saturday from noon to 4, July 26th at 190 Chester Avenue. It is an event that draws people from all over, and everything is free. School supplies, book bags, haircuts, food, games, activities. They'll have stuff for kids going into grades K through 12, music, Lots of vendors out there. Please, if you get a chance, make sure you get out to the Oasis of Love Church on Saturday from noon to 4. It is a big deal. Pastor Raymond Cochran Jr. and everybody will welcome you with open arms. Also coming up this weekend is the 59th Shiloh Fireman's Ox Roast, which I believe is Friday and Saturday. And if you want to get the famous roast beef sandwich, don't wait. Because it does sell out, and you don't want to get there too late to get that. But that's Friday from 11 to 9 and Saturday from 11 to 7. Get up to Shiloh and take part in the 59th Shiloh Fireman's Ox Roast.
You've also got Cypher City, who we talked to last week. We talked to Don Cartel and Ryan James about the Hip Hop Festival that's going to take place at the fairgrounds as Rusty Cates just walks in.
Yeah, we will get him momentarily.
And then when's the Richland County Fair?
In August?
Man, the fairgrounds is having a run.
I'm trying to set up an interview with a market hog. I'd like to bring him in. I think I could ask a couple of questions, and he'd go, oh, wait, that was Lamb of God. I'm sorry.
The clips just make themselves.
Yes, they do. Put that in. All right, that's enough for now. We do need to get to Rusty Cates, who is joining us here in a minute. Let's take a quick break. Rusty's going to have to wait for just one moment, though, because first we're going to talk to members of the cast of Wizard of Oz. They'll be in a show coming up this weekend and next weekend at the Renaissance Theater. All of this and much more. So please stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Newsman Weekly podcast. Joining us now, as promised, folks, we are headed down the Yellow Brick Road. We have cast members from the Wizard of Oz, which opens Saturday night at the Renaissance Theater in downtown Mansfield. We have Leah Gesouras, Jacob Poiner, and Bobby Morrow. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. What's it like as an actor to be up this damn early in the morning?
Tiring.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, I've been up since 4 a.m.,
Okay.
So we're doing...
And I'm here.
Yeah, very good. All right, let's start with each of you, just giving some background on your own kind of musical and theater backgrounds. And Jacob, let's start with you.
So I have dual degrees from Ashland University, one in musical theater performance and one in music education. So by day, I am the 7 through 12 choir teacher at Lexington, and by night, I am running around like a madman on the Renaissance stage.
I got to tell you, the first music teacher I ever had was in the 2nd grade, and we were doing a class version of Mary Poppins. And I was cast. Everybody had to be cast, so they had to find a spot for me. And I was one of the bankers. Mm-hmm. And the song, Let's Go Fly a Kite, was the only time in the show that I sing. And after the first rehearsal, the music teacher walked over and she goes, "You don't have to be so loud." In fact, you don't even really, you could just like mime. And I said, okay, that's when I understood that musical theater might not be the genre for me.
You were like, cool.
Yeah, I got you. I'm with you. Bobby, what about you?
So I started doing musical theater in 8th grade. That's when we officially had got a theater program, and Wizard of Oz was my first show. So 11 years now, I'm doing the same show but playing a different character. I played the Tin Man in 8th grade. Then I went to school in New York at Manhattan School of Music, got my degree in Bachelor of Music, but I'm more of like a theater person than music person. So it's weird walking around with a BM and talking about, oh, I did school for a BFA. So yeah, it's a very good time explaining that to people when I really can't read music that well.
Leah, what about you?
Well, first off, this is very exciting for me. I've never been on this podcast, and I work for this company.
Wait,
So
you-
this is was
didn't
I?
we?
No?
No, yeah, we had you on when we did.
100 years ago.
It was another musical. Which one was it?
I don't remember.
It was something last summer. Look that up, Heiser.
Beauty and the Beast?
It might have been Beauty and the I think it was.
Well, that was a fever dream. So now we're back.
All right.
Jacob's laughing because he agrees.
Boy, was it.
It was
Beauty
period.
and the
Okay.
Beast.
All right. Well, it's so good to be back. So I kind of like Jacob, I have a background in theater performance, musical theater. My degree was in communications, went to BG, went to New York for a New York Minute, came back home, and now I work here at Richland Source as head of community investment. Get to work with all of these fine folks and really just giving back to a community that's given me so much. And then, of course, corporate girly by day, and then Wicked Witch by
Slayer
night.
of the stage.
Oh, thank you. Yes. But I'm very grateful to be here, and we're so lucky to have so many wonderful opportunities literally up the road. So,
Now, for those who do not know, The Wizard of Oz was based on a novel by Frank L. Baum back in, I think it was 1900.
yeah.
Became a movie that everybody remembers, made in 1939. So what do you guys remember as your first memories of this wonderful story? I'm assuming it's probably when you saw the movie rather than read the book. How old were you, and what do you remember thinking about The Wizard of Oz?
I don't really remember watching the movie when I was younger. It was more of doing the show back in 8th grade when I first started doing musical theater. But just the show in general or the movie, now that I've watched it since I came, I'm just like, it was such a turning point for that time, because that's when Technicolor was like first like invented. So it's pretty dope.
I know for me, I cannot pinpoint like when the first time I saw the movie was, but it was such a staple growing up throughout my childhood, and such an American classic, that later on, once I got into later into high school and into college, I really dove deep into the series of books that Frank Baum wrote that chronicled the exploration of the land of Oz. So it's really nice to get to visit it on stage. I directed a version of the script at Lexington a few years ago, which was a fever dream of a script in and of itself. I was like, I chose the wrong version, I think.
Can't roll that one back.
Wait, Dorothy dies in this version? This isn't right.
She didn't die, but she did get back to Kansas in a rocket ship.
Wow. And now that would be an interesting concept. What about you, Leah?
I think for me, I grew up watching this definitely with my mom and my family, and I do vividly remember the twister and like the rowing in the boat and Miss Gulch on the bike. Yeah, that's my theme music. That's my theme music. I'm like Darth Vader. I get a theme music. I know I know I'll never miss my cue because that's usually it. So, but yes, it's great. Lots of great and wonderful memories.
Well, for me, it was when I got high and lined it up to the Dark Side of the Moon soundtrack by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
So
Shocking.
Did you guys ever do that?
No.
Apparently, the Dark Side of the Moon soundtrack, which, The Wizard of Oz came out a lot well before Pink Floyd, but it kind of lines up to the movie, and I guess they didn't do it intentionally, but it's kind of a cool experience.
I got to tell you, incarceration has ruined you.
I think it's made me better.
For normal company. I'm just going to say. I remember seeing this movie, when I was a kid, and it came on TV. At that time, it came on like once a year.
Yeah.
It came on around.
It was like a special.
Yeah, around Halloween time, and all I remember is, and we're going to talk about this in a couple minutes, Leah, but I remember being absolutely terrified of those goddamn flying monkeys. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was living in South Georgia, and it gets really hot at night in South Georgia, and I would close the windows because I don't want no flying monkeys coming in these windows. That's how powerful that movie was to me. All right. Jacob, you're the Tin Man.
Yes.
Bobby, you're the Cowardly Lion. Leah, you're the
Nope,
Wicked...
Bobby Scarecrow.
Sorry.
Scarecrow.
Back up. See, I get my notes
That's
wrong.
okay. That's right. We have a Bobby and a Robert in the show as well,
Yeah.
so it's okay. We got a lot.
It's
Well,
a lot
one
of Bobs and Roberts and Bobbies.
one thing
Somebody
I-
got to change the name.
One thing I know for sure, Leah, is you're a Wicked Witch.
Yes.
In the show. I'm not trying to say that.
Oh.
So why are those roles special to you, and what have you worked on to kind of make those your own, and different from maybe what you've seen or experienced before as you get ready to do this at the Ren?
Alfaba.
Adele Dazim. That's my code name, is Adele Dazim. I can't help it that sometimes it checks out. Yeah, I think for me, I always say that it takes the nicest people to play the meanest villains. And it's really fun. I think, and I'm sure Bobby and Jacob can understand, playing villains, it's a good time. We don't often get to do it. We're very nice people, but when we get to do it, it's very rewarding. But for me, I think it's finding the fun in the wickedness and the evil. And like, I think there's a fine line too. And I think we're all kind of learning this. But Michael Thomas, our director, and the creative team wants this to feel very vaudevillian. So it's a lot of ha and oh, Dorothy, you know, it really is like that. But how do you find like the character and the authenticity in that too, while still having a good time and conveying the story? So, but for me, it's finding the fun in all of the wickedness.
Can attest, have played villains before. It is a lot of fun finding the fun in being bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that we've talked about a few times, especially for the main four of us, the Tin Man, Scarecrow, Lion, and Dorothy, because we leave the stage for like 2 minutes,
Maybe.
I think.
Barely.
Yeah. I hate doing shows like that, by the way. I need
It's bad.
I need a few minutes
princess
away.
track.
Yes, just by myself. Yeah.
I went last year from playing Gaston in Beauty and the Beast, which was a princess track. I came on, sang a couple fun songs, disappeared. Not so much this year. But one of the things that we have talked about a lot so far is paying homage and respect to those characters that are so well known and so well loved in that vaudevillian way, without it becoming cheesy and bad acting, because it's such a thin line to give that respect and that homage while also keeping it grounded and believable and real. So that's been the challenge, is getting it big without getting it bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would say it's so tiring playing Scarecrow.
Just cigarette.
Having to jump everywhere and just be like this very silly, out of the box character. And, you know, that's who Dorothy initially meets. And I look at it from the Wicked point of view at some points. If you haven't seen Wicked, you got to see it to understand where Scarecrow comes from. So I pull it from that character so much, of this sort of carefree person, and he knows what he's talking about, but he'd rather sort of throw breadcrumbs at you a little bit and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to leave for these people to think about, you know? But overall, I have to say it's a pretty great experience playing this very vaudeville, very out of the box, very just like combust of a character that I get to like sort of be like a kid again. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the movie kind of full circle. When my oldest son was maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years old, somewhere around there, we had, in the old days, I had recorded on a VHS, The Wizard of Oz, when it was on TV. And he loved the movie. And every day, well, not every day, but when I was home with him, we'd put it in. And he looked at me and he said, go to that part where they talk about it. And I'm like, what? The part where they talk about it. I'm like, no, just watch the movie. He goes, the part where they talk about it. I'm like, I really have no idea what you're saying. And then it got to the part where Dorothy meets the Scarecrow, and they talk about going to see the wizard. And to him, that's what he wanted, because the Scarecrow does this amazing dance, and they talk about it. And that's, from that point forward, I knew what he meant, the part where they talk about it. So when they made the movie, the Tin Man had some issues.
Just a couple.
Yeah, I mean, he almost died. In fact, Buddy Ebsen, for those who might not know, Buddy Ebsen was going to be the original Tin Man in the movie, but they sprayed so much metallic paint that it put him in the hospital. They don't really do that much anymore these days. I mean, every once in a while an actor dies, but hopefully not too often. But the tech in this show, from what I've seen, looks pretty interesting. I see people, I don't want to give it all away, but I have seen pictures posted that show things in the air. So from a technical standpoint, how much fun and how difficult is this show?
Oh boy. I'll start.
We'll let our resident experiencer of this.
And keep the damn monkeys out of my house.
You got it, sir. You got it. Yeah. So I'll go from the flying aspect, and then the guys can jump in maybe on the ground technical aspects. Yeah, so we worked with a fly company. We hired a fly company. They came in, installed a fly rail last week, and had a fly trainer. His name was Forrest, like the trees. And he essentially trained us and our backstage hands. I kind of call them the flyers. I don't know if that's their official name. And yeah, my life is in their hands on 2 strings. But we're strapped in with harnesses. I have 2 because I also play Miss Gulch in the beginning, so I'm on the bike. And then I have to just throw everything off and quick change and run around like a crazy person with Jacob and Bobby, and get into a new harness and do a check, all while the show is still happening. But I think the biggest thing is, yes, it's incredibly fun. I was a little nervous the first time I did it, but there is definitely an adrenaline rush. But, there have been some spicy moments where it's like, oh, no. Oh, there she goes. There goes the witch into the wings. Catch her. And we're good. We're still learning. That's what Tech Week is for. That's Tech Week is what we call right before the show opens, where we put in literally all the technical elements. But it is fun, and you just have to trust the people who are flying you, trust your gut, and I just think skinny thoughts, and away I go.
On the ground level, we'll say.
Ground floor.
There is no shortage of things backstage that are rolling on and off stage.
Oh my God, yes.
It is truly like playing like leapfrog
around
picture. All of these.
We'll send a
things.
backstage picture.
And unfortunately, we don't get the movie magic moments where, they call cut, you go back to wardrobe, get your makeup and costumes done, and then
live theater,
set
baby.
up.
Live theater.
So we've got a very specific amount of time from when we are starting as farmhands in the beginning and then coming on stage as these fairy tale characters, where we've got to get all of this makeup. The Tin Man has a couple of things that he's got to do to get ready. But to get on stage is an adrenaline rush, trying to make those deadlines so that you're fully makeup's on, costumes on, you're ready in the wings for that set piece to go out with you. And then at the end, obviously in the movie, Dorothy gets back to Kansas and she's surrounded by all of her family and the farmhands. And in the script, there is not much time at all for us to get back into those costumes.
Not at all.
I would say about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah. And that's getting all of our costumes off. So we have a minute to get our costumes off, wipe our makeup off, and then get back in the farmhand, and then go back on stage and sweat.
Continue to sweat.
Continue to sweat.
We were doing a Miracle on 34th Street at the Mansfield Playhouse years ago, and I was, of course, being built like I am, I was playing Santa. And the beginning of the show, there's a parade, and Santa's standing there in plain clothes. And then he leaves the stage, and I have roughly 45 seconds to come back out as Santa with the Santa Claus costume on. And opening night, we're doing it, and I'm trying to pull these Santa pants on, and the bottom of it catches on my boot as I'm trying to pull it.
Oh, no.
And one of the young elves is standing there, and rather than being helpful, he's going, "You better hurry up. You better hurry up. You're supposed to be out there. You better hurry up." And I never wanted to kill an elf so much in my life. But I'm like, okay, dude, get out of my way.
Yeah.
Get you.
But yeah, I was putting the white gloves on as I came on stage, and you have those moments. That's why I love live theater, because if nobody watching the show really knows the madness that's happening back. Have you been on stage yet? Coming out back as the farmhand with straw still on, or how does that work? No,
Not
We
yet.
haven't did the quick changes yet.
Okay.
That's
All
our
right.
experiment tonight.
That's the experiment
And
tonight.
it's going to be a ride.
But I will say to the credit of our wonderful team and even like our backstage crew are great. And I think for me it's always like just trust that they know what they need to do. I know what I need to do, and like if it doesn't work, that's what Tech Week's for, and like we'll figure it out. So it's a lot of faith, a lot of trust in one another.
trust the tech.
Trust the tech.
Absolutely.
All right, so tell me about some of the other people in the cast. Dorothy, I saw where Bo is in it
Yes.
as
the
the great
wonderful
wizard.
Love Bo.
Yes, Bo is fantastic.
Tell me about some of the other folks in the cast.
Yeah,
Gosh,
I'll
where do you
start.
begin?
I'll start with Bo since you mentioned Bo Roberts. He is our wonderful Wizard of Oz, and Bo is on the fly team toward the end. Does go up in a hot air balloon.
Nice.
But yeah, he's so endearing. I love watching Bo play the guard as well. When they get to the Emerald City, that's kind of a fun little Easter egg. That's really the wizard. And then Professor Marvel in the beginning as well. So I've always enjoyed watching Bo and working with Bo. So he's definitely a standout. He's got a bit of a princess track
He
this
does
show.
get the princess track
For the
this
most
show.
part, but he does a great job. Lucky, yeah. Anybody else you want to talk about? Any other
So
favorites?
our lion, Robert Hardin-Leith, Columbus native, and McKenna, our Dorothy. The four of us have spent a lot of time together this summer, and it's just such. A lot of the times you get into these processes and you maybe don't necessarily always jive with the people that you've got to work with on stage, but like you put it in the back of your mind and keep moving because you've got to. It's the job.
Show must go on.
Show must go on. But working with Bobby, as well as Robert and McKenna in this kind of quartet throughout this entire show has just been laughs, good times, and like, all right, what are we doing here?
A lot of what are we
comes
doing
next? I know that yesterday at rehearsal, Ryan, our associate artistic director, looked at McKenna and I at one point and goes, "You two need to separate," because we got the giggles so bad while we were working through all of these scene transitions. So it's always refreshing when you get one of these rehearsal processes where everything just kind of jives between everyone on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really been lovely working with these people. And I feel like I was talking to one of the parents yesterday. She was like, you four just like all blend together so well into these characters. Like, I feel like if I were to see you like outside of these characters, that's how you are in person. I was like, yeah, it's pretty.
Yes, but I
Pretty
feel like the
true form.
casting was pretty spot
accurate.
on.
Now, is there the most burning question? Is there a Toto in the show?
Yes. Let's. Yeah.
Yes, there is.
You know, I've asked that question of other people, and I've never gotten quite that volatile a reaction. So, I assume there's a story behind the laughter of the poor Toto.
You mean Cujo, the demon dog from hell?
Oh yeah.
We're doing something a little
And your little
different.
dog Cujo as well.
We're doing something a little different
Yeah.
with Toto
It
in
looks
this
cute now.
production.
It looks cute now.
Yeah. We're doing a puppet version of Toto as opposed to a real dog version.
Wise choice.
Yes. In live theater, you can choose one of two things. You can't choose. It's either small children or animals. You can't have both. That's too much. So our wonderful set designer and tech extraordinaire Jason Kaufman,
Literally.
incredible artist, designed and built this dog puppet that has been in various stages of nightmare fuel throughout the process.
That's exactly what it is.
And is still in the process of like becoming.
It's missing a few legs.
And a little bit of fur. It may have mange. We don't know. But it's a really cool concept to use a puppet instead of and somebody on stage puppeteering,
which is Ryan,
our associate artistic director. We love lately any chance to throw him on stage that we get,
and he's doing an amazing job.
Yes. But we did get to work with a real dog we did a promotional video at Kingwood, where we, filmed little vignettes of Dorothy meeting the 4 characters, and we had a little dog named Sweeney.
I've adopted that dog.
miss Sweeney.
Oh, you adopted the
Yeah.
dog?
You adopted Sweeney?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, I love
That's the dog
Sweeney.
you've seen in the office
Okay.
a couple times the last
You
couple
almost
weeks.
didn't because
So-
he tried running away at one
Yes.
point.
Well, yeah, and he also tried running away yesterday. So
So this is an occurrence thing.
yeah, he's a dachshund. They like to sniff around and they just
run.
get curious. I think he likes us. He's just like, oh, I'm gonna see what's over here 3 houses down.
Yeah, your house is okay, but what else might
Yeah.
be over there?
Yeah.
So is the dog in the show this like an animatronic or a handheld move?
It is handheld,
Yeah.
so it's definitely a low-tech
Okay.
puppet.
Yeah.
There's a handle to
It's like
hold
a
the
rod.
body, and you kind of do a rocking motion to get the legs moving. And then there's another handle with a little trigger on it so that the mouth can open and you can move the head around.
Okay.
It looks cool, and
Yeah.
and I think it's fun for me to also watch like Ryan. I think as just a puppeteer, you have to also be into it, and like whenever Toto looks,
He
Ryan's
be
like
so into it, like
Yeah.
looking at people with like the
Acting?
dog puppy
hard
eyes.
out.
I'm just like,
The acting
he
is
is so
acting.
into it.
The acting is acting.
It's fabulous.
and
I love it. I'm
I
very
will
proud of
say,
him.
From a distance, Toto looks pretty darn good.
Yeah.
It's just when you're like a
Up
foot
close.
away that you're like, oh, you might steal my soul. There's no
What
eyelids.
the hell is that?
All right, tell me one thing that you've learned, and this will be for all 3 of you as we get ready to wrap this up. One thing you've learned about the Wizard of Oz that you didn't know before becoming involved in this particular show.
Ooh.
That is a good
Deep question.
Man, you'd almost think this
a lot
guy
to
does
think
this
about.
stuff for a living.
Give me a second.
Yeah, hold on. I got to think this through.
Wait, repeat that question again.
Oh. Tell me one thing you've learned about the Wizard of Oz and doing the show that you didn't know before.
Okay.
There you go. I sped it up that time.
I would say is to just sort of let loose and let every day be sort of a process for you, because you never know like what's gonna change or like how you might see the character in a different light. Because I've never thought about doing this as sort of like a vaudeville, but when you look back at the original characters, they were vaudeville performers. So I really had to like tap into like my musical theater archive and be like, okay, what shows can I pull from? And then I thought of like Sideshow, and then I thought of, what's that one movie? Oh, Jesus. The one with Hugh Jackman.
Oh, the Barnum one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
Brain cell knocking together
It's
again.
knocking together.
See, that's what you guys didn't kill yourselves at incarceration. This almost said Woodstock at incarceration this weekend.
Close.
So you still have brain cells working.
Well, ask us again on Friday.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a nice, life lessons, absolutely, as an actor, like what Bobby was saying about just going for it and putting everything that you can behind the characters. It was really a nice, like, little trivia refresher to, like, remind myself of, like, all of the things that went wrong in the movie. Because, like you were saying about Tin Man's makeup being highly toxic, they used real asbestos for the snow in the poppy scene, as well as, at one point, the Wicked Witch caught on fire. And in the scene where she's flying around spelling Surrender Dorothy, fell off of her broom. I was like, oh my
possibilities
gosh,
are endless for
everyone
me.
Yeah, I
almost
like it.
died in this movie.
Now, I don't know if there's actually the line in the version that you guys are doing, but I'm going to need you to say it. If it is, oil me.
Oh.
I just need to hear that.
So it's not. He says oil can in the version that we do,
okay.
and then asks them to oil his mouth.
Okay.
But
maybe that's what he says in the movie, and
could
I'm misremembering.
It's that rusty jaw man,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice because he says it like 3 times, and so progressively, as a character, I've made the choice to get more impatient every time because I'm like, okay, please just get it done. So I'm like, oil can.
It's funny.
I love that.
It's a cry for help.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think for me, just kind of wrapping this thought, in the original movie, there were so many things that went wrong and mishaps. But you look at that finished movie product, and it's fantastic. I mean, it still, in a lot of ways, holds up today, and that was, 1939. So I think for me, it's like as we continue into Tech Week, yeah, it's going to be messy. Yeah, it's not going to be great. But I'll be damned if we don't put on a really good show on Saturday. And I feel very confident in the people that are with us there. So, yeah, that's what I've learned.
Excellent. We're going to end it there, folks. My thanks to all 3 of you for joining us today. Thanks for coming in this early. I know it's not early for some. It's early for me. Hey, folks, it's the Wizard of Oz musical at the Renaissance Theater. It opens Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. in downtown Mansfield. I think shows are Saturday night,
Yes,
Sunday afternoon, and then the same schedule for the weekend after that. You can get your tickets now at rentickets.org, and we'll put a link to that in the show notes for folks who want to go, and I strongly urge that you do. And we'll be back in a moment with former WMAN voice Rusty Cates, who's finally going to bring some professional broadcasting to this show. So please, stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Newsman Weekly. I am thrilled now to welcome a voice that is familiar to all of you. We are joined now by the legendary Rusty Cates. Good morning, Rusty. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Carl. I appreciate it.
And thanks for getting up so damn early.
It is early now.
I mean, I'm dealing with these guys coming off incarceration. They barely struggled in this morning. Just, I didn't know whether we were going to have a show or not. They're coming in singing Lamb of God and Slipknot and Five Finger Death Punch. And I thought, I got to get a guy on here who sings other stuff.
I did take
maybe,
a shower, though, after the festival. So.
Old standards and barbershop, perhaps. We can talk about
Yes,
that. But,
yes,
for
exactly.
10 years doing the morning show at WMAN, it was, alarm clock going off at 3:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
And I, upon being retired, do not get up at 3:30 in the morning anymore.
I do not blame you.
Trust me, these guys are not retired, and they ain't getting what.
Oh,
at
yeah.
3:30.
No, not at all.
I mean, they might be going to bed at 3:30.
Correct. Sometimes,
But,
yeah.
Hey, we're going to talk about the morning voice of Mansfield in a few minutes, but you've had some other big vocal moments recently. You and some of your friends sang the National Anthem and God Bless America on Sunday at the Cleveland Guardians game. Tell me about the Wild Pitch Quartet and how you got to be up there, and what was it like on Sunday up in Cleveland?
We formed 2.5 years ago. I'm with 3 guys that are all from the Cleveland area, and our goal was to sing national anthems for ballparks. And we've done the Guardians twice now, Akron Rubber Ducks, Lake County Captains, Mahoning Valley Crushers, Columbus Clippers, most of the regional minor league teams, and are just having a great time doing that. We have a few more minor league stadiums yet this summer. And aside from that, we learn baseball songs such as There Used to Be a Ballpark. We have a fun parody of Daddy Sang Bass, which is Daddy Played First Base. And we do a lot of tinkering with lyrics because it's so much fun. 2 weeks ago when we got a chance to sing in Denver, we were entered in a comedy festival, and we did those 2 songs that have humorous titles to them, and really enjoyed it. There's an old song called Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nellie, and we sing that, but it's about a baseball team that's experiencing a rainout and having to wait, and the frustration of waiting to play baseball, which we love so much.
Now, when you're performing as the Wild Pitch Quartet up in Cleveland, What was the clothing like? Did you wear the barbershop quartet clothing, or how do you dress as
Yeah,
a Wild Pitch Quartet?
Thank you. Early on, we bought uniforms. We say we have home and away, and we paid way too much for these uniforms. I'm telling you. They have our names, each have a number. Our number is our birth year. So I'm 61. We came up with a nickname, and a lot of people know my 3 hobbies are barbershop, beer, and baseball. And so the beer part is on my back. My nickname is Brewster.
I like that.
Yep. So we go with that. So they look like uniforms. We actually have baseball pants, and we wear black sneakers, not cleats. We think that's a little noisy on the stage. But as far as the white pants, they only come out on special occasions. We weren't going to wear those to the Guardians game on Sunday.
Now, when you get done singing the national anthem, obviously you stick around because God Bless America comes up during the 7th inning stretch. So you get to enjoy the ball game. Where do they seat you during those times?
Well, when you sing for the Guardians, believe it or not, they have you buy tickets. There's a little secret for you.
Okay.
All the minor league teams will let you in free, along with 6 cousins and anybody you know.
So you can sing for your supper, but not for your tickets.
That's right. It's rare that they have somebody sing "God Bless America." It's only done on home dates, when it falls on a Sunday, and so that's the only day. And then they go right in to "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," which we could have done as well. When we sing for the Rubber Ducks, we usually do a 7th inning, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" or something fun. You got to have heart. We've done that at a few of the stadiums from Damn Yankees.
Yep.
People like to hear that at the ballpark.
Now, when I think God Bless America, there's only one voice I hear in my head, and it's Kate Smith, right?
You got it.
I mean, that's you guys are way too young to remember.
Kate Smith, like
Yes.
the reliever for the Guardians?
Kate Smith.
Oh, Kate. Got it.
I don't think Kate Smith's relieving for the Guardians.
That is a good one, though. I got to give you one on that, Zach.
Got his baseball knowledge.
I know.
I watched him in the bullpen yesterday.
I know ball.
Little
Yeah.
inside baseball.
I'm going to give you a homework assignment for next week, guys. Go on YouTube, look up Kate Smith, Philadelphia Flyers, God Bless America. Watch those because that's the voice.
Female version of Rocco Scotty.
Yes,
Wouldn't
indeed.
you say?
Yeah, we were just talking before we turned the mics on. Back in 1980, I was covering the Little League State Baseball tournament up in Paynesville. The Cambridge team was up there playing, and they had, I'd be honest with you, I was 19 years old. I didn't know a lot about Cleveland, and they brought this guy out into the middle of the field to sing the national anthem, and there was no microphone, and I'm like, well, it was a microphone. And they introduced him over the PA, this now doing the national anthem, Rocco Scotty. And this guy began blasting the national anthem, and I said, holy crap, this guy don't need a microphone because he was that good and that loud.
He had great resonance.
Yes.
What's your favorite rendition of the national anthem you've ever heard? Mine's Whitney Houston. That's probably that's kind of the gold standard at the Super Bowl. I think it was a Cowboys Super Bowl in the 90s.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. I'd probably pick some barbershop quartet, maybe Wild Pitch's version. We have a special arrangement that we sing, and it has really great harmonies in it. So,
well, I'm going to go with a non-vocal version. I'm going to go with Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. I don't remember it live. I was probably 8 years old, but I've seen the videos of that, and
it's a good one.
For the non-vocal, I'll take Jimi Hendrix on I think it was on a Sunday morning. I'm not sure.
Hey, to pull this back,
yes,
in order to do the national anthem or God Bless America, they give you a time requirement. So it cannot go over 1:35 on the national anthem, and they want you to stick to 1 minute for God Bless America. So much for any kind of a fancy verse or a repeat sing-along with the audience. That was a challenge for us to get our arrangement down to a minute.
So those of you who watch the Super Bowl and hit the prop bet on the over-under for the national anthem for whoever's performing it, keep that in mind if you're doing prop bets on the national anthem at a Guardians game. The time limit is set. So, you mentioned this a second ago, but you guys just attended and participated in the International Barbershop Convention out in Denver. I think that was the weekend before the Guardians game. What in the world is the International Barbershop Convention, and how'd you get involved in that?
When I was 15, I liked to sing. We had a YMCA boys choir in Mansfield back in the early 70s, and I participated in that. And then time went by, and when I was in high school, Mansfield started a barbershop chorus. I saw that it was a chorus of male singers, and I really liked my experience with the boys back years before that, and so I got involved and really didn't care about it being barbershop, but I absolutely loved it and have been with it for 48 years now as a member of the Barbershop Harmony Society. And for most of the time, it had been a male-only organization. It has branched off to now allow women. There are some mixed choruses, quartets, and mixed and rather female quartets participating that are quite good. It actually frustrates me that they are so good. But my chorus, I sing in a group in Cleveland. I drive up to Cleveland on Thursday nights, Men of Independence. We are from Independence, Ohio, about 40 guys, and this is an audition chorus, so you have to be a top-notch singer to be a part of this.
So I would not be welcome.
I don't know. You want to sing Happy Birthday for us or something?
I would absolutely. You know, the best vocals I've ever done were in an air band in college, so those were the best.
Oh, that I can understand, yeah.
Yes.
But we prepare for competition. There's a regional, it's called Johnny Appleseed District, Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania, every fall and spring, and have done very well. We're current district champions, actually, and qualified for international, where we were going to sing on Friday, the 4th of July, which we did, 40 choruses from around the world, and we were 30th. We would have liked better, but only 1 point separated 23rd from 30th, so it was a tight competition. Choruses from Sweden, New Zealand, Japan, Germany. It's pretty amazing, and they all have to sing in English. So it's a challenge for some of these. It's amazing. But since the Wild Pitch Quartet was all going as part of the chorus, we decided to enter this little side show called the Comedy Festival, Quartet Comedy Festival, and we had a ball. Aside from the Guardians games, singing in that comedy festival was wonderful. People are in the audience ready to laugh, and they will laugh at anything you do, and it was just a delight.
Now, how many participants or how many attendees were there at this convention?
Yeah, it was one of their better ones. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of 8,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get in? You already talked about how you got involved, but what makes barbershop singing that kind of vocal performance unlike other musical genres? Yeah. What do you find most appealing about it?
The fact that there's no background music. Everybody has to sing on pitch. You cannot go wavering flat or sharp. You have to find your part and sing it, and it's just amazing how layering that in, the tenor, lead, baritone, and bass, and everybody's singing their notes correctly, it actually creates an overtone or more harmonies than those 4 notes themselves. So it's just fascinating. It's a great feeling to be a part of this. I think many of us have said, you know, it's about the most fun you can have outside of the bedroom.
Now, of the 4 parts, which
I'm glad he clarified. I'm glad he clarified.
I did try to clean that up.
You know, now I've got a third person actively defending my ability to stay straight and do this show. Thank you for that. Now, which of those 4 parts do you sing?
I'm the lead singer or melody singer. Right. And I started doing that. I think it's good for anybody getting into this hobby to sing the melody part for a couple of months and then learn the harmonies along the way. And every quartet I've sang in and choruses, directors want me to be on the melody line because I'm a strong melody singer. I learn my words. That's a big thing. Lead has to be responsible for the lyrics.
Got to know the words. Yeah. You can't just do oompa in the back or whatever.
You because that's up to the bass to put those bums in there.
Carl, I'm chiming in real quick.
Oh, please.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Rusty, I'm interested too. I mean, someone who did choir in high school and all that, I mean, what are some of the ways that you continue to train or stay active with your voice? Because I know even myself, even being beyond puberty, I know that my voice still has changed, or what I can sing has changed since like high school. So as you age, I mean, how do you stay fresh with it and as strong as you can sing? I mean, are there tips, techniques?
I think it's just singing regularly helps. And directors of really good choruses are helpful because we don't just jump in singing the songs that we're going to be working on. There's a 20, 25-minute warm-up to really get your voice ready to go, to unify all of the singers. And those techniques that we've been given, you should be doing on your own, even if you're driving in the car, keeping your voice warmed up, ready to go, just like you asked.
I sing in my car all the time when I'm listening to the radio, and I don't think my voice will ever warm up. Because,
it is fun, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I'm absolutely rocking it.
Yeah, there's some kind of psychological or adrenaline that goes through your head when you're singing that just makes you happier.
Well, I can't sing in the shower because my dog howls. So really the only place I can actively sing is in my car with the windows up. And
no
usually on the interstate, because if I'm on 4th Street, somebody's going to hear it.
Have you noticed, though, as you're singing in your car and you're having a great time, you look down, it's like, oh, gosh, I'm going 90 miles an hour all of a sudden. What happened?
Exactly. That never works that well. You know, one of the things I notice, I cover a lot of, especially basketball games, they'll have quartets or small groups come in to sing the national anthem before the game. And someone right before they start has some little thing that they blow into, and you hear like a little note. I have no idea what that is. I don't have any idea what it means to the people who are about to sing. So please explain to me what that little thing is and how that helps you then to know how to sing this.
It's called a pitch pipe. And it has a full octave of notes. Some go from low C to a middle C, and there's also an F to F. So there's 13 notes on that pitch pipe around this cookie sort of looking thing. Over the years, they've gone from a traditional one that was metal on one side, black on the other, where the notes were engraved, to something called a tombo, which is what I use now. And the notes actually stick out a little bit around the pitch pipe. And I probably lost a good 20 of them over the course of my barbershop career.
So when you actually hit that, how does the people who are about to sing, they listen to that and they say, okay, that's where I'm going to make my voice go?
Yeah, and usually you all want to hear that initial note, which is the key of the song, and then go to your first note with just a hum or an ooh kind of a thing after we blow it. Fortunately for the lead, usually the note that is blown is the note that I'm going to sing, which makes it easier. But a pitch pipe is the answer to your question, and you can't play it like a harmonica.
Right.
It's just for blowing the notes. And I'm telling you, on the Guardians game Sunday, when we were singing God Bless America, people had already heard us once, and we had a very nice ovation before singing God Bless America, and I could barely hear our baritone blow that pitch pipe. So a lot of it is still muscle memory in your brain to know where that note is, even if you don't hear the pitch pipe.
Well, who can trust a baritone? Maybe he didn't even do it.
You're absolutely right.
And
ours is quite
the only thing less trustworthy than a baritone is a bass. I'm just saying.
I think you had it right on baritone.
Okay. All right. So let's roll back a little bit. Tell us about where Rusty Cate started. I know you graduated from Madison High School, Bowling Green State University. Talk about your early beginnings. What'd you major in school, and how did Rusty Cate get started?
I went to Eastview School. One of the proud moments for me was that I was in the kindergarten class that entered when that building first opened in 1966, and my wife and I both were in that kindergarten class.
Okay.
I made it through.
Were you dating then? Or
no, but we've literally been friends since kindergarten.
All right.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we still get along very well. 1979, graduated from Madison. While I was there, though, I absolutely loved art and photography, and so it was on the yearbook for 3 years and newspaper in the school. So I did a lot of journalistic type things. I loved being at events with my camera and had a dark room. My dad actually built me a dark room at home so I could work on photography and enter some of my photos in art shows. I made the Governor Show as a senior. Anybody knows about art knows that is a big deal for a high schooler to get that honor.
And you and I are the only people in this room who understand what happens in a dark room. Not what you guys think either. It's actually developing film and using chemistry and fixer and stop bath and how hard it is to do all of this in the dark.
Yeah, and it could be an expensive hobby when you're a high schooler.
Yes.
Every dollar I was making mowing grass and delivering newspapers going back into my photo business.
When did they stop doing? When did you stop having to do dark rooms? When digital cameras came out? When was that?
Well, when I was managing editor at the News Journal, it didn't start as soon as digital cameras came out because we couldn't afford them. Okay. Because back in the day, probably late 90s, early 2000, I'm trying to remember the exact year, a digital camera setup with lenses, well, I think we bought 3 of them finally at the News Journal. It was like $17,000 each.
God.
Wow. For these cameras.
Yeah.
But the way they decided to do it was I was spending $26,000 a year on film and chemistry. So Gannett said, we can save $9,000 a year.
Yeah.
So they authorized us
and a lot of time.
Yeah. They said, we'll buy these cameras and you can go digital. And I said, great, now I can spend that $26,000 elsewhere. And they said, no, that money's gone.
It's ours.
Yeah, so the money we saved on not buying film and chemistry went away, and we bought highly unreliable digital cameras that often broke and didn't do the things you needed.
People unfamiliar with using them because they're brand new.
Yes, but digital cameras were a big thing. But we digress. Please continue.
Oh, but I do want to say, because I am a Mansfielder at heart, born and raised and will live here forever, I appreciate your work at the News Journal.
Well, thank you.
You did a great job.
I appreciate that. Now, so you graduated from Madison in '79. When I graduated, thank the Lord. I assume you cum laude or something like that.
I'm not sure, but I went to Ohio State Mansfield to start. Okay. And I went 5 quarters, got my associate's degree there, which I'm proud to say I have a degree from Ohio State University. I was in the very first class that they offered associate's degrees to in 1980, which is pretty neat. And then went on to Bowling Green, where I wanted to go because they had a wonderful music program and a radio department. I had switched my major at Ohio State from journalism photography to communications so I could get into radio broadcasting.
So like me, as you pondered your future and you were looking at college majors, you skipped everything that said you can make an unreasonable amount of money.
Yes.
The last class I took at the Ohio University was be a journalist and learn to live poor.
Yeah. It's absolutely true. Anybody involved in the media on a local level, a media market like Mansfield, you're not going to make much money. And I would not even encourage young people today to do it.
No.
However, looking back, I do not regret it a bit. You make your own life. I mean, you have to really go for it. And I did get a lot of endorsements and extra pay because I was working hard at my job and making friends, and people liked me. And so that was a big part of my salary, but also just the experiences. Come on, to be down on the track at Mid-Ohio and to go to the football and baseball games and to be right there interviewing so many celebrities over the years. Those experiences, I think, are worth just as much as a big paycheck. My wife might not have thought about that. I've always said, if you want to be in the media, Carl, make sure you marry a wife with a lady with a good job.
Exactly. That's always been the key to my success, and a sense of humor.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of celebrities, who's the nicest celebrity you ever interviewed?
Had to be John Glenn. He came into the studio for an hour once, and while he was running for president, essentially, at the time, he did not mind doing 50 minutes on being an astronaut and then just a few minutes about his campaign. Right. It just so nice, so kind the whole time.
I actually went to John Glenn High School in New Concord.
What do you know?
Graduated in '79, but I did mean he came to our last football game my senior year when we finished the year 10-0. He and Annie both came to the game all the way down to Thornville. We were playing Sheridan, and he came in the locker room after the game, walked around and shook hands with every single player and asked what they planned to do after they got out of high school. And I'm standing there. Everybody's in various states of undress at this point. And I remember him saying, "What do you plan to do?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm going to go to OU and major in journalism." And he winced a little bit, but he said, "An admirable profession, young man." and then he moved on. But yeah, I think John Glenn was one of the truly nice guys.
Because it was radio, we had a chance to hook up with a lot of celebrities on the phone as well. And I always remember my interview with Dick Clark. It was probably a lot of fun, talking about his history with American Bandstand. I was a big Gilligan's Island fan as a kid, and I had several cast members I was able to get on the phone, usually because they had a book.
Right.
Russell Johnson, Don Wells.
All right.
I interviewed Captain Kangaroo.
Oh, that was who was?
Yeah, we'll think of it.
Yeah, well, certainly. Yeah. Hayden Heiser Googled Captain Kangaroo. I'm thinking it's Green, but that was his cohort, Mr. Green Jeans. So
Mr. Green Jeans.
That part's not
What's
right.
your question?
Yeah. Who is it?
What's your question?
Who was
Captain Kangaroo?
Who was Captain Kangaroo?
Everybody listening to this is already shouting.
Yeah, they are.
Bob Keeshan?
Bob
Yes,
Keeshan.
yes.
Yep.
They knew it.
There you
Tip
go.
it done.
I mean, those were TV shows back when we were kids. There was another one, Romper Room.
Oh,
You
yeah.
remember Romper
Yeah,
Room?
Romper Room.
That show caused me deep depression as a child.
She never saw you in
Never
her
saw
magic.
me.
That's why
in
you
her magic
are the
screen.
way you are?
Because
Never got out of it.
Those of you who are not familiar with the show, every show at the end of Romp Room, the teacher, I forget what her name was, she held up the magic mirror or whatever, and she would talk to the audience. Oh, I see you, Rusty. I see you, Zach.
Never said
I see you, Hayden. I'm literally as an infant, not as an infant, but a toddler, standing in front of the TV, waving my arms. And I swear to God, at one point she goes, "No, Carl, I don't see you." I mean, this was terrible child's television.
Never saw Carl.
All right, what
man.
came down when Mr. Moose was on the show?
Yes.
Yeah, and you'd say the magic word, ping pong balls.
Yes, ping
would
pong
drop
balls.
from the ceiling.
Captain, yes.
Yeah, in mass. And the third show that I think we both grew up on would have been Captain Penny.
Yes. Very good. Now, all right. So you graduate from Bowling Green, the Ohio State University, Madison High School. You've got your college diploma. What then?
Okay, so with a month before I graduated from Bowling Green, I already got my foot in the door at WMAN.
Okay.
My life comes back to barbershop a lot. And as it turned out, I would say October of 1982, I was watching a barbershop show in Mansfield. It was Sweet Adelines, and the man next to me happened to be the president and general manager of WMAN. And I, even as a young person, I'm always inclined to start up a conversation with the person next to me. And he asked me what I was going into, and I said radio. And hey, do you know, I work in radio. So we built this relationship sitting at Malabar Auditorium. And a couple months later, when it came time to get my I'm trying to think what we called it. You make a reel, audition reel, and send those out. I went to WMAN with that, and he was in the hallway and remembered me and said, okay, we'll definitely give this a listen. And actually gave me a short tour, took me down to meet the program director, Bob James, and within about a week, they called me and said, you got a Sunday shift if you want it. And so I got my foot in the door. By the time I graduated, which was winter, December of 82, one of the full-time employees was leaving, and so before you knew it, I had a full-time job. It was at night, but I didn't mind. I mean, when you're young and out of college, you're ready to take anything you can get.
Yeah, because I graduated in '83. There was a little thing going on at the time called a recession, and there were not a lot of jobs out there to be had. So I'm sure you were. So what was your first job? You were a DJ, or you did?
Well, that's all they did at WMAN. It was a standalone AM, and they played 45s and albums, and you talked in between. You helped gather news. Quite often you read your own news if it was after 5 o'clock because the news staff had gone home or they had a meeting to cover, something like that. So I pretty much learned a lot having this 5 p.m. till midnight shift.
7 hours.
Yeah.
That's
of lining up your songs. When you're playing 45s and albums, that is a lot of music to dig out of the library. And then, of course, you have to put everything back where you got it, and I have that ready to go. We did have some songs on what we call carts. They look like 8 tracks, but not nearly as many. Maybe at any given point we had about 100 songs on carts, which made it a little easier to play.
Yeah, when I was at OU, I worked at ACRN, and that's where they taught me how. I was not a broadcast major, just a print journalism guy, but that's where they taught me how to slip cue records, which I believe is obviously a lost art because nobody plays an album anymore. So.
Yeah. So I did want to say, because I had all this time, and my mind works overtime creatively, I would always, every day on the drive-in, or maybe even during the day before, I'm thinking about what is today, what would be funny related to today, because I listened to CKLW growing up, and
out of Detroit, right?
Did nothing but gags in the morning and really all day long, and so I would write out funny little skits to do maybe between a song, at least once a night, but it was probably more than that. And occasionally the program director would say, hey, the next day, hey, that was funny. I liked what you did. So I just, that fuels the fire. And before you knew, I did spend 7 years at night, and then they moved me into middays, which was my favorite. For 20 years, I did 9 a.m. to noon. That's the perfect place to be. You're not getting up crazy early. You can go home at 5 after you prep for the next day. And I really like that. It had to do with Marketplace and a show called AM Mansfield, where we interviewed a lot of people. It was just like doing this, except for I actually had to watch a clock to make sure I was out at the top of the hour and I got my commercials in.
Now, when you were at what point did MAN switch over from like AM radio playing the top 40 type music?
The first
to
step,
something else.
Yeah, first step would have been 1987 when the owner merged with WCLW, and that became Y105. Okay. So now we're going to put the music on this FM station, and WMAN became a news talk station. So it was really early in the radio timeline to be a news talk station. We did still play some music here and there, but for the most part, Sally Jesse Raphael was one of our first shows, and Larry King overnight. Yeah.
What's your point, caller?
I loved listening to him on my drive home. I would set up the automation so it would run till 5 in the morning and listen to him, Larry King. Probably learned a lot, really, from listening to him.
Now, when they made the transition, did they say, Rusty, do you want to do talk or do you want to keep doing music?
Yeah, that's good. I immediately jumped at the opportunity to do talk because I just did not see myself as a 40, 50-year-old guy playing songs. That's going to run its course. Whereas the news talk, the newsman on the radio sort of persona, that's going to last my whole career. And so I thought that out early, and that's what I decided to do.
I want you guys at some point to go listen to a Harry Chapin song called WOLD, because that just described the career path for those who went the musical route that Rusty was just talking about a guy who bounces from station to station, playing the hits.
And has 2 pair of pants that he owns and maybe 5 T-shirts, and that's his, because he couldn't ever afford anything else.
You mentioned Larry King. Who else inspired you, or who else did you kind of take things from, like any other?
Well, it has to be Rush Limbaugh.
Okay.
When Rush came on the scene, I was already in radio, but I would listen to him, and he was first on 1100 AM out of Cleveland. This guy's doing my thing. This is exactly what I would do if I was on the radio and had a chance to talk politics for the 3 hours every day. And when I was doing AM Mansfield, I would have a bit on a political story, and then he comes on at noon. I just did that. I thought of the same thing he did. So, it has to be Rush. Now, I have the big 3. I had Casey Kasem. Loved his voice, his countdown. Paul Harvey.
Good day?
Yep, and Rush Limbaugh were my big 3.
That's a good big 3.
And I remember Paul Harvey. I remember all those guys, bro, but especially Paul Harvey, because that was, he was a national radio voice. He came on in the mornings, and there was the Holiday Inn fire in Cambridge in 1978, 79, and I remember listening to local radio, and they had Paul Harvey on in the mornings, and it was so bizarre because I never thought in my life I'd hear it. If Paul Harvey comes on and he goes, fatal fire, Cambridge, Ohio, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Paul Harvey. He's talking about news that we're covering. So
it was a big story. He did the rest of the story. And he did a really interesting piece that caught my attention, and later on several others in Mansfield, and that was about the Mansfield Independents playing the first professional baseball game ever. And that story on the radio pretty much inspired me to get some of my friends, number one, Paul Lintern, and we actually looked for the place where that game was played, which was, ironically, about a quarter of a mile from the radio station. And then we, for the anniversary of Mansfield, the 200th anniversary, we did a replay. We created a team called the Mansfield Independents and replayed that game, brought up a minor league team or the they have a name for a heritage baseball team. Something like that.
Did you sing the national anthem before the game?
I did not. I should have. Yeah, we actually played it over a PA. That we missed an opportunity.
Exactly. So when did you switch over at midday, obviously 9 to 12, but when did you switch over to kind of become the morning voice of Mansfield?
Yeah, I was coerced. I really would have loved to just work 9 to noon the rest of my career.
We're often coerced in the business. So.
Yeah, but now we're owned by iHeart, Clear Channel, and iHeartRadio, and they try to consolidate as much as they can. And the idea was to take that 9 to noon and put on Glenn Beck? What's that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to listen to Glenn now. But that was their plan, and I'm sure stations all over the country were doing that if they were news talk. And so our general manager at the time took me out to lunch. You know you're in trouble when they take you out to lunch. And I got an offer for you.
Yeah. How do you feel about getting up at 3:30 in the morning?
Yes, but you know what?
Well, if you're giving me this free lunch, I'm
yeah.
It's like the whole pizza party argument, right?
Yeah. And so... Yeah, but right. You're going to get up early. You'll be in. But I'm telling you, you're going to be done by noon every day.
The rest of your day.
Won't that feel good to leave at noon? 10 years, if I went home at noon twice, I'll be surprised. It was usually 2:30, 3 o'clock. I was working long days. And while I was tired and crabby at times, I still loved what I was doing. Yeah.
Now, as somebody whose voice was obviously very familiar to everybody in town. Do you ever have people that may not recognize you until you start talking, and then their kind of head turns?
It still happens.
Yeah?
Yeah. In line at a bank or a grocery store, I'm talking to my wife, and somebody will say, hey, wait, I recognize your voice. It usually takes a second or two. And it's been 6 years now since I was on the radio, except for a few lonely commercials. I support the Pat Crocker Breast Cancer Fund and do their ads for free just because I think it's a great cause.
Yeah, we just had Dave Crocker on the show I don't know, a couple months ago now. But, yeah, I remember trying to think. Somebody jump in for a second while I try to remember.
By the way, I still MC a lot. If folks need somebody to be a part of their event and just weave together a special dinner, I still MC, do a lot of barbershop shows where I MC.
I was curious why you left. Was it just kind of time to do other things, or did it have anything to do with iHeart coming in?
Yeah, it had to do with iHeart. It was on May 3rd of 2019. We'd like you to come back around 3 o'clock. We were going to have a special meeting. And upon that moment, they said, you're done. This is the end of your career here. And
so
I was devastated.
out.
Yeah, devastated.
That's right.
I swear to this day, I was making more money for them than they were paying me back through endorsements and ads and all of that. But the people in San Antonio do not care. You're just a pin in a big map, and they're going to pull like 20, 25 out every 6 months. And
they don't care about the local audience either that actually liked you.
Yeah, go back to 2019 on Facebook or even in the news. How many people were commenting and upset that Rusty Cates was no longer on the radio, which made me feel very good. I bounced back. Before you knew it, I got a job with Mansfield City Schools. 4 years working in education to get to 62 and then retire. And I met some of the best people. I would never trade those 4 years of working in city schools. Just wonderful people that are teachers and hard workers.
Having worked for the newspaper equivalent of that, having worked for Gannett, I completely understand what you're talking about. But,
got the kick in the butt?
I
and
did
you
not
didn't
get
deserve it?
did not get a kick in the butt, but watched a newsroom that slowly bled people
yeah.
over the years, and not being able to replace them when they left, and just watching. I don't know. We used to talk about we were presiding over the downward death spiral
Yeah.
of an industry.
So many good people that I worked with, and they worked hard. Greg Heindel, Jeff Swank, Dave Pinnell, Jeff Allen, all these people that just got plucked off, and it wasn't fair.
Mm-hmm. So what's been going on? I know one of the things you told me you're involved with these days has to do with the Richland County Park District. Tell me about an event you've got coming up.
Yeah, since retiring 2 years ago, I really spend every day doing something positive, and I latched on with Richland County Parks. There's an auxiliary group called Friends of Richland County Parks, and a brand new observation deck is being built at Fleming Falls Pavilion. It should be about done. I go out there about every other day, if not every day, to see the progress. And we predicted it would be done by August 2nd and have been planning a dedication ceremony. And that has evolved into an open house, sort of a grand opening, because Fleming Falls Preserve never really had its day to say, hey, we are now open, come out every day and enjoy it. And on August 2nd, folks, if you're listening before that date rolls around, you need to be there. It's open dusk to dawn anyhow. It's off of Fleming Falls Road. And that day, we'll have special parkings because we anticipate a lot of people coming in. There will be wagon tours. It's a big place, close to 180 acres, so not everybody can hike that whole way. So we're going to have 3 tractors with wagons hooked up to take people around the property, which I think is going to be so much fun. And they'll be free. Everything will be free. We have the staff at Gorman Nature Center, nature, birds, animals, and history. We have different stations set up from 11 till 3 where people can meet up with the bird man and learn about birds at Fleming Falls, or raccoons and turtles and that kind of thing. So really emphasizing the nature as well as hiking. And then the dedication ceremony at 3 o'clock. And this new observation deck is beautiful. Former camp alumni, people that went there or worked there, donated most of the money to build this, over $400,000.
Wow.
And it is just a beautiful structure. It is in the architectural style of what was Oneida Lodge, and prior to that, Fleming Falls Hotel, which was built back in the late 1880s. And many people that see it, you compare it to a postcard or something from that day, and it brings back a lot of memories. It's going to be very nice, and I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy it. And aside from just being an observation deck pavilion kind of thing, it has 5 historical placards that are in there that tell the history of the Flemings family, where there literally was a mill, about the camp itself, about some of the natural resources that are at Fleming Falls.
Now, what's the easiest way for people to find Fleming Falls?
Whether it's Ashland or Mansfield, take Route 42 and then turn, I always get my east and west mixed up, but I think it's turning east onto Fleming Falls, and you'll just drive about a quarter of a mile, no more, and then there will be the entrance to go in. So I think you'll be able to find it. I believe the actual address is 2295 Fleming Falls Road, if you'd like to punch that in.
Very good. Now, I remembered what I was thinking about when I drew a brain cramp a few minutes ago, and it's changing the subject, but it goes back to Rusty Cates' voice. A few weeks ago, I struggled on a Thursday, but there was a fire over in Madison Township, Mifflin Township, I apologize. And I was walking up, and obviously the fire was out, and they were doing other things. And I hear a voice, and I turn because I'm thinking, I know that voice, and it's Rusty Cates. I said, I know Rusty doesn't do radio anymore. Is he a news guy doing this? And so I started talking to Rusty. It turns out he lived next door.
Yeah, that was a dark day. It was the day after you had contacted me
Yes.
about doing this
yeah,
podcast. It was
yeah.
June 23rd. The fire was June 24th. Unfortunately, my neighbor and good friend died in that fire. So it has been a really sad time for us. I mean, I keep busy, so I'm always moving on to the next thing in my life. But looking back to think that he's gone is really quite sad. We spent a lot of time in the backyard talking, especially in the summer, and he was very good when we would take our our winter getaways at Watson or House, feeding the cat and all of that. But yeah, that day was interesting because I saw you and several other local news media that wanted to talk to me, and I just didn't know what to do in the morning. By the time noon hit, we had 4 news teams from Columbus, 3 from Cleveland, in our front yard.
Yeah.
They were literally hanging out all day till 6 o'clock doing updates on that fire.
Well,
it was just unusual.
As you well know, if there's fire or murder or mayhem of some sort in Mansfield, Columbus and Cleveland TV love to come calling.
I'm not sure if I shared one of my photos with you. I took some amazing photos of the fire in its early stages, just for my own behalf, really. And as it turned out, I was emailing them to a number of news outlets. But I think the most impressive was about 3 p.m. I literally got a call from ABC in New York, and they asked me if they could use my photos. And it showed up in their evening news.
And hopefully you charge them a pretty penny.
I never charge.
Oh, okay.
I'm not very good at that. I like helping people. My whole career has been about helping people, using where I am to make other people's lives better.
Well, very good, folks. We are going to have to wrap up today's show on that note. Many thanks to Rusty Cates, the longtime voice of Mansfield, and also the members of the Wizard of Oz cast for joining us today. Thanks again to all of you for listening to the Newsman Weekly. I'll be back in a second to put a bow on this week's episode, but until then, remember what Mark Twain said. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.